Is everybody in? Time being 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. on, I'm not muted here. On Wednesday, December 21st, 2022, I'd like to call this meeting to order of Kane County's American Rescue Plan Committee. Clerk, please call the roll.
Kenyon. Bates.
Bates here.
Gums.
Gums here.
Leonard.
Leonard present.
Molina.
Molina present.
Strathman.
Strathman here.
Surges.
Burgess here.
Tepe.
Happy here.
Sanchez.
Sanchez present.
We have quorum.
All right, today is the 21st. It is the winter solstice. If Ken Shepard were here, he'd probably give us the etymology of that word solstice. It means somewhere around sun stands still. It's the longest day of night, if that makes any sense. It also signals the return of the light. And I just wanted to read a very short passage from a poem in regards to that to commemorate the day. This comes from Angela Morgan's poem, God's Man. And when she uses the term man, she means human, for those who may be questioning that. But the section goes, man is not flesh, but fire. His senses cheat him and his vision lies. Swifter and keener than his soul's desire, the flame that mothers him eludes his eyes. Pulsing beneath all bodies ere begun, flashing and thrilling close behind the screen, a sacred substance blinding as the sun yearns for man's recognition in the scene. And I just felt that was an appropriate passage to get us started today. So with that indulgence, I will now ask for unanimous consent for approval of the minutes for November 9th, 2022.
Deputy so moves.
Gums will second.
We just need someone to ask for it. No objections. The minutes are approved. And we'll move on to public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. And I believe, do we have anyone here that wishes to deliver a public comment? Please step up to the microphone, ma'am. Identify yourself and your organization, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Arbor Committee. My name is Eileen McNamee, and I run Paths of Elgin, which covers the individuals and families that find themselves homeless in Northern Kane County. I just want to give you guys a little status update. We are always in the state of essentially emergency. We always have a wait list. We have an overabundance of families that are finding themselves homeless. And I need, this committee to specifically know we would get a family maybe once a year at the shelter. We presently have 5 families in shelter. We are prioritizing families. And then the next population that we're finding are elderly. So we are trying to prioritize veterans, families, and elderly in our shelter, but we always have a wait list. And obviously with this cold weather, we have people, knocking on the door. So we are responding to that. We have coats and heat packs and hats and gloves and scarves and everything we can give people who can't, find refuge from this weather. Additionally, we're also sending them over to the warming centers that have been set up in Elgin. It's not getting better, and our facility cannot be, we don't own it. We can't build upon it, and we can't change really anything inside. So we are presently trying to find a new building, either land or something we can rehab. Land, of course, would be better. So then we can build everything that we need to help families chronically homeless and so forth. So I'm just reminding this committee that I know that we did get a payout in the beginning of this, but we are kind of in desperate need, and anything this committee can do to help further that would be wonderful, and we would appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to everybody, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Ms. McNamee.
Good afternoon. It's afternoon.
It's afternoon.
Hi, I'm Lori Baker. I'm president and CEO of the Association for Individual Development, or AID. And not only is today winter solstice, over the longest night of the year, it's also National Homeless Persons Memorial Day, which is a time for us to remember our friends and neighbors who have lost their lives living on the streets. As we go into this incredibly frigid weather and blizzard conditions that are expected expected to be coming. I think it's really important that we continue to think about how to support Paths of Elgin and everyone who is working with people experiencing homelessness in our communities, because the issue is not getting smaller, it's getting larger. Our street outreach team works in partnership with many of the emergency shelters in the area, and also really tries to engage people in mental health services and other services that will help lead them towards more permanent housing placement. But as you know, we have a less than 1% vacancy rate in Kane County. Housing prices continue to climb through the roof, and it's incredibly difficult to move people off of the streets into permanent housing and permanent supportive housing. So, as you continue to look at the ARPA funds and how you think about using them, just continue to think about all the people that can't come in here today and raise their voice to speak for themselves and what they need, because they're desperately trying to survive on the streets and under viaducts and in encampments that we have all around the community. And our workers are desperately trying to get them, propane and other things to try to hope that no one dies over the next few days. But I can't imagine that we'll be so lucky for that not to happen, just knowing how very cold it's going to get. So keep those things foremost in your mind. I don't envy you your jobs. I know it's very difficult to make these decisions because there's a lot of needs throughout the community, but just especially on this day, being December 21st, wanted to make sure that you were aware of and thinking of our friends and neighbors who don't have someplace to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Is there anyone else who would wish to deliver a public comment at this time? I don't see anyone online that I do not recognize. So we will move on. I have to make a slight adjustment to our agenda. We do have a need for closed session, and for that, we will be utilizing county board staff. So I'd like to move that up in our agenda and address that next, so that we can have that conversation and come back to open session with Christine here being able to go back to doing her other stuff. So that being said, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to
Bates
discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees. Bates moves.
Strathman second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Kenyon, Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
passes.
Okay, for everybody online that will be joining the closed session, please accept the invite to go in. Be aware we are live streaming, and anything you say will be going out live to the public until I give you the okay that we're officially in closed session. So please accept those invites, and we'll get going again shortly.
What?
I need people in the room to accept the invites too.
Gotcha.
Okay, let me know. You guys all accepted? Are you in the thing? Okay.
Tepe.
Mr. Tepe,
Have to join.
you just got to press a
He
button.
just wanted a personal invitation. Did he do it?
He's in.
He did now.
Technology hasn't been as strong soon, so.
Tough committee.
Oh, yeah. We're battle hardened, man. Okay, we're in closed session. Clerk, please call the roll for attendance.
Kenyon, Bates,
Bates here.
Gums,
Gums here.
Leonard, Molina,
I properly left the breakout room.
Excellent, excellent. You take your finger and you, your right index finger, and you place it on the
I'm ambidextrous. I actually use the left, but that's okay.
Okay, you are in open session.
All right. Are you switching out? You can stay if you want. It's up to you. You're hungry. Hey, we're all hungry. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it. You want to step in or you're just going to do it from there? Okay. All right. We are back in open session. Clerk, please call roll for attendance.
Kenyon? Bates?
Bates here.
Gums?
Gums here.
Leonard?
Leonard present.
Molina?
Molina present.
Strathman?
Strathman here.
Sturgis?
Surges here.
Pepe?
Tepe here.
And Sanchez?
Sanchez present.
And Pirog.
Pirog is here. And I think we're good. All right. So back to our normal agenda. Discussion items, program manager update, Mr. Phillips. Yeah.
Here got some slides.
Sure.
I think this is on. Okay. I am Peter Phillips. I'm the American Rescue Plan Program Manager for Kane County. Thank you, Blair. So let's see. There are a couple slides that are not in the distribution that I gave you more because it was color intensive and the color printer did not appreciate one of the slides. So that won't be in your handout. We'll go over in a minute. If we can advance to the next slide, or can I use this remote there, Blair? Okay. Thank you. All right. So the first slide is Jenny did a good job of consolidating a number of different elements of information from different spreadsheets. With the table on the left is a portion of the 9-step process, staging process that we have developed to perform the risk assessments, and then ultimately develop resolutions to advance the department requests. And the departments under stage 1 and stage 2 are those that are presently being analyzed at one stage or another. Those that are in stage 1 are being presently assessed and are in the first stages of being reviewed by the departments. And stage 2 are those departments who we have assessed on an initial basis, and they are in the process of being fleshed out by the departments based on questions of eligibility that we had derived from assessing the project and comparing against the eligibility criterias. So with that, I will advance to the next slide. If
moment,
anybody
please.
has questions on this,
Hold on,
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Bates. Let him finish his presentation. We'll come back to
I
questions.
just need, no, I need acronyms.
Acronyms. Oh,
EC is an eligibility code.
Oh, I should have known that right off the bat. KC is King County Project Man, RA,
Correct.
RA,
risk assessment.
risk assessment. Okay.
And
Oh,
these, the remainder of the 9 steps is a table that I am going to distribute to the committee so that you have it as a point of reference going forward, as these risk assessments ultimately will come to you for your review on each of the projects, departmental projects. Okay, so this slide is somewhat self-explanatory. So the reimbursement requested, shaded whatever color mauve, whatever that is, the $1,909,000 are those funds that have been requested. And the next slide that I'll go to in a moment will show you of the $1,900,000 what has actually been sent out to the organizations and what is in review. The portion on the left are those monies remaining that awardees will be requesting reimbursements for through potentially 2024. And a portion of that is still some of the big six salary reimbursement, which has not taken effect yet, so it cannot be reimbursed. So this slide is of the $1.9 million that has been dispersed. And by dispersed, I mean they have the awardee has requested and submitted their expenses. 1.6 million has been sent out in check form and been received. The gray section of this element is 246,000 in awards that are in the county process of being assessed for payment. And those have that grade section this week did advance from the auditor's office to the treasurer's office. And it's not a hard and fast date, but we are, this Friday is potentially a disbursement check cutting date, given the treasurer's office schedule allows. So that is the dispersed monies. And this slide is one of those that did not hit the packet that you have, but I think this is a really important slide. It's representative of what progress the committee and the working staff and our consultants have made. And our staff includes the state's attorney's office, which it does a lot of work on this. But you can see that when we started the community support grant disbursement process, we were on about a 39-day pace that the volume pumped up between May and June of the expenses submitted. So we were at about a 45-day period to assess and then disperse funds. And we're down to about a 6.5 day process of us reviewing and getting it to a stage where finance, the auditor, and the treasurer can make their assessment. So that reduction in time is indicative of what we expect to also eventually by the end of the third quarter, we would see that our productivity and effectiveness for the department requests, if not mirror, because there's a lot more investigation analysis on the department request, but you should see that our effectiveness takes a positive track like that. And I believe so. And then finally, because this is 50% of the community support grant program, this is the status of current funds that have been dispersed and received by the big six. And they each have an award of $333,333.33. So you can see that what they hadn't applied for, they have remaining, and most of the big six are projection monies that have not been expended yet, so they can't be reimbursed. So that will go on through the coming year. And that is the summary of where we are today. One thing that's not here that I think is important to mention is that we're coming to the end of what's been a lot of other additional work for reimbursement of FEMA for the MassVax site. You may recall that we took those expenses out of ARPA. We had reported it. We backed it out. Mr. Onsick put it in a special fund so we could analyze the MassVax expenses and get reimbursed by FEMA, which would allow those funds then to be available to ARPA, the committee, to use as they see fit. So we have a deadline of December 31st to submit those expenses for the MassVax site. That will probably take place this Friday. And those expenses that are being submitted are all expenses that have been in the MassVax fund, rather, that finance had created, Fund 354. And those, we were finding that some expenses that were associated with the backsite have a risk reward that doesn't really measure up to. There's some mileage reimbursement requests that total about $1,700. It would take probably about that much, if not more, labor to assess that and acquire the backup, because the Treasury or the FEMA requires an exorbitant amount of backup for mileage because it's an easy item of fraud. So We will not be submitting, as I mentioned to Mr. Sanchez, I would recommend we not submit to reimburse for the mileage associated with the vac site because it would end up being a net loss.
Any questions from Mr. Phillips at this time? Mr. Tepe?
No, I'd like to make a comment, and that is, recently, FSA, I know, thanked Madam Chair, and I'm not sure if Mr. Sanchez was there, but I was there, for the fact that these funds really help them retain employees. So I think all of these organizations have been able to effectively utilize these funds in a positive manner, and just wanted to share that with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think too, I definitely interact with the executive directors of our 501c3s, and that I am confident that if any of you touch base with folks in your districts or otherwise, that you would be very pleased with the customer service level that they are experiencing. And that is one of our number one objectives. So that is it.
Yeah, I've heard from at least 2 of the big 6 so far. Same thing. It's actually helping a lot. You wouldn't think because they haven't drawn down all the funds, but it's because of the way we structured it. And some are waiting to submit until they have a bigger chunk. But yeah, a couple of those organizations have reached out and said it really has made a difference. So
Good. Good.
we made the right call in structuring the program this way.
Good.
Yeah. Any other questions for Mr. Phillips or comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Phillips. Next discussion item, other committee matters. There is a sort of an urgent issue. One of our projects from Water Resources, Ms. Jody Wolnick, it was on the back burner. It's one that we were going to come back to. If you recall earlier this year, we approved 4 of the water resource projects because there was some time sensitive issues. We now have another one of those from her projects, and it's the lead pipe removal project. And there is some matching grant fund opportunities. She's identified, I believe it's the Ogden Gardens subdivision in Aurora as being the recipient of this work. But because of the timelines that she is having to navigate with some of the matching fund opportunities, we're just asking that if the committee gives its blessing to place a resolution on the executive committee agenda for this month so that project can move with hopeful some grace from the board to the full board, so that on our next county board meeting, she'll be able to show the state that, yes, we do have that matching funds from the ARPA money.
You need
Mr.
a
Tepe?
motion
Mr. Chair, are you asking for consensus?
or a motion? It's
Based on the
not-
definition as I understand it, yes. Is there any objection to having that placed on executive committee for this month? No. Okay. I'm sure Jody will be happy to hear that. I think they have an office holiday party happening right now, so she's not with us, but I told her we would bring it up, and she will appreciate your consensus on that. That is it for discussion items, unless there's something I'm missing, Mr. Phillips, that you can think of. No, you would have had it in your mind already. That being said, we'll go on to new business. We have one resolution. I will entertain a motion in a second to discuss and potentially pass authorizing the American Rescue Plan Committee to supervise the conduct and operations of the Kane County American Rescue Plan Program and authorizing the program manager's use of state and local fiscal recovery funds for administrative expenses. Did I get it all? Yeah.
Bates moves.
Bates moves.
Seconds.
Strathman seconds. Blair, could you please pull up the resolution? Oh, you don't? Oh, you don't? Okay. We'll make sure you have that next time. You have that all before you. It was sent to you,
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Sturgis.
I think you're good. Go back to your
Oh,
part.
yeah, Ms. Wolnick, we got it. We're good.
How about the YouTube delay?
Oh, yes.
Ready to pop up right when you ended, but it just ended on YouTube. Sorry about that.
Nope, you're good.
Any questions?
All right. Are there any questions on that?
Yeah, why weren't we all invited to the party?
Yeah, and where's the snacks? I
Yeah.
don't see any donuts or anything. Give me 1 second, please. And I will pull up the resolution just so that we have it on screen. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Yeah, you can view it online, but typically we like to have it
Yeah.
in front of us. So this is what is left of the original resolution, and it's just a kind of a housekeeping thing. This committee, because we don't have a countywide administrator, and typically in counties of our size, their ARPA projects are run through the administrator's office, working with finance and consultant teams. We're kind of in a, not a gray area, but we just like to more well define some of the boundaries and abilities of the committee. So what this resolution is doing is simply authorizing us to approve, well, it's first authorizing our program manager to approve small purchases, things that need to get bought, maybe a license agreement for software we're using. He needs to get some more printer paper, or the monitor in his office goes out. This way, he doesn't have to bring it to us first for approval and then go off and purchase. It allows him to make these small purchases as we go along and as they are budgeted. It's very important that it's something that is budgeted. So it's just kind of bringing us up to speed with what other departments do and what other committees oversee, and allows us to give that approval and oversight, not oversight, but supervisory capacity. So as Mr. Phillips encounters certain expenditures, he will have to produce a report to us each month on what those expenditures were, and we can have that conversation. But this is just a administrative ease resolution, I think, is probably the
Haven't we been doing this for the last couple of years?
It's just, we've kind of
It's
done
tightening
things
it up.
a little
Okay,
differently here and there and shifted it, but this just makes it more clear,
okay,
simply.
that's fine.
And that was Ms. Bates. Any other questions or comments on this? Mr. Tepe?
How have these purchases been done in the past?
I'll ask Mr. Ford to come to the mic to address that.
Stephen Ford from the State's Attorney's Office. In the past, well, the ARPA funds, they're unique in the sense that, they can only be used for specific purposes. And our office's view is that the county board is the entity that would approve the use of those funds. So there have been resolutions that Mr. Phillips has prepared for small purchases that have gone through committee and been approved by the county board. This resolution just basically says, if money for a purchase has been budgeted, it's reflected in the county budget. And if EY has deemed it an appropriate use under the Ernst & Young, under the ARPA and the final rule, Mr. Phillips can go ahead, make that purchase, approve that invoice, and then report on that to this committee, who would be able to monitor those purchases. It's really just kind of plugging a hole in the system where Mr. Phillips doesn't have to wait to put a resolution before this committee that would have to go to exec and the county board for those small purchases that are already budgeted.
I understand that. My question was, how has this been done in the past? In other words, picking on Mr. Phillips. I know that there was a monitor that was purchased internally, for example. As that as an example, how was that reported and how was that approved and how was that paid for?
Well, that's the exact example, Mr. Tepe. That was Mr. Phillips put forward a resolution, presented to committee. I believe it went to exec, passed by the county board. I think it was about a $700 purchase.
Yeah.
So that's the type of
Yeah.
thing that now he would be able to approve the invoice and then report on that to the committee, provided it's been budgeted. And Ernst & Young has said that this is an eligible use of the ARPA funds.
And if I remember correctly on that also, before the resolution, IT purchased it. So then it became actually a chargeback to IT that we authorized through the resolution. Mr. Phillips, go ahead.
Yeah, and
That would be the same thing.
but
It's just another way of slicing, yeah.
to Mr. Ford, he asked me for some information yesterday that included an answer that would regarding that. How has it come to me, whether it be a chargeback or if we were paying direct? We hadn't had a policy in the past. It was kind of and so Ms. Bates, this is catching up so that we're not doing things on an ad hoc basis. So it would be a combination of chargebacks that we had either reimbursed or in this instance, an invoice that we came to you.
And all of this would be subject to the auditor's office review, of course, right?
In the critical point is that it's all been budgeted. So if
Yeah.
there's a need for a budget adjustment, that would be another matter to consider, but
Yeah.
it's been budgeted and our ARPA consultant has said that it's an eligible use of funds.
So we should really make him pay for that monitor personally, or?
If I get to take it
Ineligible.
home.
Any other questions or comments on this resolution? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Kenyon, Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
I'm going to abstain just because I'm new to the committee and just getting my feet wet. So
Pepe,
Tepe, yes.
and Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes. Have nothing under old business. We took care of executive session before we adjourn. I will say, Cliff, we started late, but I kept it just about an hour, like I said. So I was close, man. That being said, I'll take a motion in a second to adjourn. Mr. Kenyon isn't here, but in his honor, would somebody like to, oh, Mr. Phillips, did you have something?
Yeah,
to
I
add?
forgot the shout outs you and I talked about. Just, would like to say it's coming in the end of the year. We've been working at this, most of you for a couple of years, but our core group really for about a year, since last September. But there have been a couple of people that consistently are lend assist, and these are the type of people that are proactive, that come to me. Erica Wagner is unbelievable in her assistance and, helping us, because there are elements of this that financially we need guidance on. And Erica goes out of her way to check to see how we're doing and if we need some information or things explained. And then two, with the FEMA program coming up, from the FEMA is in particular married with ARPA, and that we have to keep those streams of money separated. So I'm working solely on that FEMA, but there was a big lift that we needed assistance from IT for some of their expenses for the MassFact site. And Charles put me in touch with Brooke, and I didn't even have to ask Brooke. She knew what we needed. And rather than helping me learn how to fish, she took it upon herself and did in 2 days, probably what would have taken me about 5 or 6 days. So she, people like that, and those are just two people that come to mind. Because state's attorney's office is unbelievably supportive, and everyone in finance and IT. But I just wanted to say that it's a lot of where the progress we're making is because of the departments, and how all the departments in the county are just glad to, maybe not glad, but make me feel like they're glad to be helping us anytime we need. So I just wanted to mention that.
Good.
Yes, thank you for that. Couldn't do without them. It really.
And thank you, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
for driving this bus.
Thanks for trusting me still.
Okay, way to go.
I'm good with that kind of driving though. So as it turns out, yeah. I could have been a stunt driver, maybe in another life. All right.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and anything else you celebrate or not. There's Festivus for the rest of us.
My brother, Michael Gums.
You got it.
Right. Happy birthday, Michael.
On that note, I'll take a motion. Ms. Gums motions
motion to
to adjourn. Second, Ms. Strathman. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
All right, go home, get some food or get some snacks from Jody downstairs because
Yeah.